Welcome to this week's edition of Flashback Friday, your opportunity to get some good review by listening to episodes from the past that Jason has handpicked to help you today in the present and propel you into the future. Enjoy.
Speakers, publishers, consultants, coaches, and info marketers unite. The Speaking of Wealth Show is your roadmap to success and significance. Learn the latest tools, technologies, and tactics to get more bookings, sell more products, and attract more clients. If you're looking to increase your direct response sales, create a big-time personal brand, and become the go-to guru, the Speaking of Wealth Show is for you. Here's your host, Jason Hartman.
Welcome to the Speaking of Wealth Show. This is your host, Jason Hartman, where we discuss profit strategies for speakers, publishers, authors, consultants, coaches, info marketers, and just go over a whole bunch of exciting things that you can use to increase your business, to make your business more successful and more passive and more automated and more scalable. So we will be back with a great interview. Be sure to visit us at speakingofwealth.com. You can take advantage of our blog, subscribe to the RSS feed, and many other resources for free at speakingofwealth.com. And we will be back with a great interview for you in less than 60 seconds. Hey, it's my pleasure to welcome Dave Delaney to the show. He is a recognized leader, consultant, and speaker on digital marketing, social media strategy, and business networking. His new book, New Business Networking, explores online and offline tools, which is kind of neat to see someone combining those two today for a more holistic approach to networking, as well as tips and techniques to grow and nurture your professional network. And it's a pleasure to have him coming to us today from Nashville, Tennessee. Dave, how are you?
I am wonderful, Jason. Thanks for having me.
Well, good. How's my girlfriend, Taylor Swift?
She's lovely, actually. I just had pizza with her the other day. Well, actually,
I'm so really envious.
She was actually in a restaurant here. I had my family with me, and we were just like the table over from her. So it was kind of funny, but just to see her hogging down pizza like the rest of us chumps.
Yeah. I mean, like the Nashville celebrity scene. I mean, there's a lot of celebrities in Nashville. I was there a couple of months ago, and I've been there a few times. But I went to that, what's it called, the Bluebird Cafe, where that reality show is filmed.
Yes.
And I can't remember the name. Oh, it's just called Nashville, actually. I think the show, yeah. And it's pretty cool. Like celebrities just sort of mingle with the general population. It's kind of neat that way, isn't it?
It's a great club. It's very, very intimate. It's in like a strip mall, so people always they think maybe it's a wrong place or whatever because it's not quite. It's
pretty unassuming.
Fancy.
Yeah,
it is, and it's not that fancy inside either. And actually, there's a YouTube video today that floating around today because I think it was last night, the lead singer of Aerosmith showed up and did some numbers and sang in that little intimate setting, and it's on YouTube, so you can find it. But it was pretty neat.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But just in general in Nashville, that whole vibe like that. Now, we're actually, folks, going to talk about digital marketing today, but let's just get the Nashville thing out of the way. One more minute on that. So,
sure.
I mean, what was Taylor Swift like? You were with your kids and you were at a pizza joint, and do you just talk to her, or how'd it go?
We didn't talk to her at all. I mean, that's the thing. Now, I should mention I'm from Toronto originally, and in Toronto's sort of Hollywood North. So there's like a film shoot happening, and I'm from downtown. So there's a film shoot happening at any given time. You can walk past, and there's something going on in the city. And just like in Toronto, where people tend to leave actors alone, they don't really bother them. The same applies here in Nashville. It's the same sort of respect for people, and it's kind of an unwritten rule. But celebrities typically are left alone. Like I've seen Jack White from the White Stripes countless times. I keep running into him all the time. Johnny Depp lives here now. A lot of big celebrities live here now. Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin lives here now.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the same sort of thing. Like people, I think they like it because it's not a major city. It's not a huge city. And
it's not nuts with paparazzi like Hollywood is, right?
Exactly.
Interesting. So, I mean, just one more thing on Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Was she alone or with someone or with an entourage or what?
She was with she was with a group, a small group, like three other people, all probably around her age as well. The only thing that did happen that was kind of funny was there was two kids sort of sitting near her, and they started writing. It's a pizza place where you can kind of play with the dough. Like kids can get a little bit of dough to play with while they're waiting for their food. And these kids spelled out like "I love you, Taylor" on a plate, and then kind of leaned it her way, kind of giggling, trying to get her attention, which was kind of funny. But no, she was just there with some friends having pizza.
Did anybody look like a hired person, like a bodyguard or a handler or anything, or just friends?
That's a good question, and I don't really know. I don't know the answer to that. I didn't see anybody, but it wouldn't surprise me if she did have somebody.
Yeah, at least in the background, maybe sitting at another seat or something. So, when you're that famous, someone's got to keep an eye on you. There's all kinds of nuts out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. So I would expect that there was probably someone nearby.
Yeah. Well, Dave, it's been great having you on the show today. And
it's been fun, Jason.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I guess we should actually talk about the topic at hand here, but that's interesting insight on Nashville. So digital marketing, your new book on the holistic approach really to networking, online and offline networking. Everybody now thinks of networking as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. But where do you want to start? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, I'm a digital marketing consultant, so I specialize in helping my clients understand how to promote themselves, their services, their products online better. And so I do that by auditing what they're doing currently, and then I provide recommendations, and I kind of coach them through execution of the plans that we, develop together. So that's typically what I do with clients. But I also have co-founded a couple conferences in Nashville, sort of unconferences. They're free big events. And then I also founded 2 monthly networking events. And a friend of mine pulled me aside one day and said, you kind of missed your calling with this whole networking thing. And I sort of put it all together and mentioned it to my wife. And she's like, it's true. I mean, you really do excel at connecting people and being a connector and helping facilitate this. And I've done that in the events and things, and just in meeting people over the years, online and offline. And so I was speaking at a conference and met my future publisher there and pitched them on the idea very casually, and she loved it. And next thing I knew, I was filling out a proposal, and it was accepted pretty quickly, and suddenly I had a book deal. It all happened very quickly.
Well, as a result of networking.
Exactly.
I find this particularly interesting, some of the services you offer, like the digital audit. What do you want to talk about first, the basic digital marketing, or do you want to talk about the contents of the book?
It's up to you.
Let's cover both. Let's go into the basic internet marketing space first, if we can, and kind of talk a little bit about that. I mean, what are some of the most effective things you're seeing today, and some of the big mistakes that marketers are making?
Well, I think they kind of go, the biggest mistakes that I'm seeing, a lot of companies will jump on social networks and automatically assume that people are going to flock to their websites from the links that they provide and buy their stuff. And people don't understand that social networking and professional networking are very similar in a lot of ways. And I think people forget about that. And what I mean is networking is all about building relationships. And what happens on Twitter is if you go on Twitter, you create an account and you just start pushing out special offers all day, nobody's going to click any of the links and nobody's going to follow you back, and you're not going to get any interaction. But instead, if you share stories about the business that you're in or the industry that you're in, and you start interacting and listening and finding, opportunities to connect with people and follow people, then, over time you build trust. And from that trust, people will start following you back. And then you can start selling things, but not constantly shoving stuff in people's face. And it's the same thing with like a networking event where if you go to a cocktail hour, for example, you wouldn't interrupt people and say, hey, you want to buy this? And it's the same sort of idea. So I see a lot of brands and a lot of companies tend to just get on there, get on social media, get on websites, social networks, and just start trying to push their products and services. And it doesn't work that way. So that's a mistake I see. The positive side is the opposite of that, where I do see brands more and more, establishing themselves by building relationships with people and actually being of service and providing things that are helpful. There's a company called HubSpot, which is an inbound marketing company.
We've had them on the show.
Yeah, exactly. And they do a great job at providing amazing content. They just had a conference recently, inbound. So, and that was a great example. They had all these videos and great content that they can provide their future customers or just people for free. So I see a lot of that happening, a lot of content marketing. There's a great book by CC Chapman and Ann Hanley called Content Rules, which I recommend people check out as well.
I've read it. Yeah. So spam doesn't work. Producing things of value, not bugging people to death. All good advice, obviously. Any particular platforms or tools? You mentioned HubSpot. They happen to do a book, but they have a lot of various tools that people use. Any particular websites, tools, software that you would like to recommend to people?
I mean, aside from social networks in general, I love Hootsuite. I use Hootsuite sort of as my social media dashboard. There's a great service I love called Reportive, which shocks me that more people don't know about it, but it's free. It was a company that was acquired by LinkedIn about a year, maybe 2 years ago now. But they're still Reportive anyway. So hopefully LinkedIn won't swallow them up and make them go away or anything. But the way it works is it plugs into your email, for example, Gmail. And as you're composing an email to somebody, you can actually see their social profiles pop up on the right column, the right side of your screen. So you can see their picture from their LinkedIn profile. You can see their Twitter handle, their recent tweets, their Facebook profile. Not all that information all the time, but usually you can see some of that information at least. And that gives you a better idea of who it is that you're reaching out to. So if you're sending a cold email to somebody as an introduction or trying to connect with them, that information certainly does help a lot. So Reportive is great. There's a social dashboard called Nimble as well, which is like a CRM.
We had Nimble on the show. That sounds like a really impressive software, and I've got to start using that.
Yeah, it's good. It is good. And that also is sort of a home base that you can use to learn more about the people that you're connecting with and also kind of keep up with the relationships, because as you follow more and more people, you tend to, neglect others because you can't listen to everybody all the time. So that's very handy. And Twitter lists. I just wrote an article recently about Twitter lists on my blog, and Twitter lists, which isn't, it's a service of Twitter, but it's something that I'm always shocked to learn that people aren't using more. And it's a great way to create lists of group people together. So say it's your direct family, and you want to have a Twitter list for them that's private, or a public list that you want to subscribe to or create of, like, say, local media or local thought leaders. And it's great for you and a great way for you to keep track of people that you really want to follow.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Do you cover? Are you a specialist in sort of one section of the digital marketing or internet marketing realm? Or do you kind of cover everything as a generalist? Certainly, I know the book is, about the networking side specifically, but email marketing, website design, conversion, squeeze pages, YouTube channels, podcasting. I mean, would you say you have a certain area of specialty?
I would say I'm a jack of all trades in that area. I've been online since 1984. I ran a BBS on my Commodore 64, so I've been online for a long time.
That's funny. Yeah.
I hosted one of the first parenting podcasts in 2005 to 2008. Mm-hmm. So I've been podcasting for a long time as well, and blogging for a decade at least. And so I have a lot of experience in a lot of different areas. I've worked for a huge brand in the technology space and in the hardware and software space, where I represented them as far as social media goes. So I have a lot of expertise in a lot of different areas. Let's just say that. So when I provide an audit, I'm thinking of all digital marketing. I'm not thinking of just Facebook or just social media. I'm thinking Facebook and, as you mentioned, email marketing and opportunities like affiliate marketing and things like that.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. Affiliate marketing just seems like such a big opportunity now. Many marketers and manufacturers of products and so forth have obviously taken advantage of it. But tell us a little bit more about your take on affiliate marketing, if you would.
Yeah, as long as it's done with full transparency, I think affiliate marketing is fantastic. And what it is basically, and the nuts and bolts of it is basically when you recommend something to somebody, you can do so by, say on Twitter, somebody says, "Hey, anybody know a good TV, a new model TV?" And you can write back and say, "Hey, the Sony blah 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 is wonderful." And they'll say, "Hey, thanks, Dave. Thanks for letting me know." But you can also use a link and let them know that it's an affiliate link to, say, the Amazon page with that TV. So that way, if they click that link and make that purchase, then you're going to earn a small commission from that, or sometimes a big commission, depending on what it is that you're selling. That's basically how it works. And so Amazon's a huge affiliate provider for publisher for that.
Right. The problem with Amazon is they don't pay very much, though.
No, they don't.
Yeah. So really, I mean, are you a big fan of ClickBank or any of the other platforms?
I haven't used them. I've used Commission Junction. I've used LinkShare, Share a Sale. I've used those services before in the past, both on both sides, publisher and affiliate as well. And yeah, I've been very happy with the results.
Anywhere in particular else that you'd like to go before we move on to the book?
I mean, anybody can visit me at davedelaney.me to learn more about the services I offer. And if they have questions, I mean, feel free to reach out to me directly through the site or, on Twitter at Dave Delaney. So I can answer any questions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's jump into the book. So what really caused, I mean, this is a first book of its kind in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I was interviewed by Joseph Jaffe, who's also an author, and he mentioned that it was the first of its kind that actually mixed online and offline. So yeah, I'd like to think it is.
So what are some of the techniques that mix the two together in a good holistic approach really well?
Well, I mean, you can take events, for example. I'm a big fan of obviously organizing events, but also attending events and meeting people at events. I mean, that's really what it comes down to when we're talking networking, especially in person. But today, you can research and find events through Meetup or Eventbrite, things like that, or Plancast is another service, or Facebook events. And you can find events in most cities around any sort of area that you're interested in. And what's great about it too is many of these event websites tie into Facebook. So you can see who's going to be attending ahead of time and actually do a little research into these people to find the people that you really want to meet. And you can see their photos so you know what they look like. So when you're at the event, you can be more productive by reaching out to the people specifically that you'd like to reach out to. And also you can reach out to them ahead of time because you know they're attending. You can say, hey, I'd love to buy you a cocktail at whatever event we're attending together next week.
Okay, so that's good. Have a real purpose, a target, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that in a sort of a negative way, but that's really true. Okay, what are some of the other techniques?
Well, I mean, so if we're talking about other techniques specifically, you can connect with people on LinkedIn ahead of time and afterwards too. I mean, I think that's a big part where online and offline meet. When you meet people in person or offline, offline, when you meet people in person, following up is so important. And so often people neglect doing this. And It's a big mistake. I mean, you come home from a conference or a trade show or something with a pile of business cards and you just let them collect dust. And really what you should be doing is email each person, try to, perhaps send them a connection request on LinkedIn and grow your network on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I'm a huge fan of LinkedIn and I think it's extremely important that more people use it because it drives me crazy when I talk to people and they're not using it because they think LinkedIn is just for looking for work. And it's not. It's about networking. It's about growing your network before you actually need it. So that way, should you have to look for work at some point later down the road, you have a substantial network of people that you can talk to about it.
Sure, absolutely.
And that's why I have a whole chapter dedicated to LinkedIn specifically.
So you really like LinkedIn. I mean, would you say you like it better than Facebook, Google+, Twitter, or it's just different? It's for a different purpose?
That's a great question. And I have chapters dedicated to each social network. So that's a tough one to say. And it depends on what I'm doing specifically. I've been on Twitter since February 2007, and I'm a big Twitter fan. I've made a lot of friends on Twitter over the years, and meeting them in person was a big deal for me as well. And that same applies. I mean, the microblogging thing was very, very cool, but Twitter has definitely changed over the years. It's very hard for me to say which I prefer. I mean, I think LinkedIn is extremely important for professionals, but I also think if you can dedicate the time to using Twitter, you can really gain a lot of trust and gain a great group of followers, and vice versa. You can use it a lot to listen and to find people yourself through researching. And then Facebook, obviously.
Yeah. Facebook. Facebook is just so
that little
pervasive.
thing.
That little thing, yeah, exactly.
That little thing, yeah.
You have a whole chapter dedicated to business cards, Dave. How should people be using business cards properly, and what are the cards that really make a difference, in terms of design and so forth?
Well, with business cards, I think it's very important to always try to ask someone for their business card before offering your own. There's always somebody at a meetup or a networking group that is what I call that guy, in air quotes, that guy who's just in the room handing out business cards to everybody and trying to collect as many business cards as possible so he can cut out and go to the next event and do that again. And then he's probably going to spam everybody later. What I think is having business cards ready absolutely is important. I think business cards are not going away as many people may claim they are because of apps and NFC chips and things like that. But I really believe that business cards will be around for a long, long time. I think in designing business cards, having a blank back or having space on the back so that somebody can take a note is very important. The back of my business card actually has blanks on it saying, we met at blank event. We talked about blank. I should do this blank with like a follow-up and with lines to fill out so that I'm encouraging people to take a minute and write down, why they should follow up with me. And I do the same when I meet people. Maybe I won't be rude and take your business card and say, and take a note on your business card. But I will take a note on it to remember what we talked about and so that I can follow up with you later. So I think those are some tips. As far as other design tips, I have some examples in my book of some really creative business cards that are worth checking out. But I think you should also know who you're going to be giving your card to. And obviously you don't know, you're not a mind or a future fortune teller or anything like that. You can't tell the future. But I do recommend that you make sure you have business cards that are sort of suitable for the event that you're going to. So if it's a really casual, silly business card, maybe not the best for a very corporate event, and vice versa. If you're going to a design conference, make some really cool, well-designed business cards, and that will make you stand out.
Good advice. What do you think the future is of internet marketing? I mean, where are we going? It's always important to think of what's going to be the next thing. Everybody wants to know that.
Yeah.
Where do you think we're going?
Well, that's a great question. A very good question, and
an impossible to answer one.
Impossible. Yeah. It's a real tough one to answer. But I think it's important to be honest online. I think things that you put online may bite you in the butt later if they're nasty. And so I always tell people, especially with students and things and younger people that I speak to, if I'm speaking at a university or what have you, I always recommend, don't put anything online your grandmother would be upset seeing, or your mother or your father, whatever. But I think that's really important. But as far as the future goes, obviously mobile is extremely important. I mean, all the numbers show mobile visits and are always increasing now because people are using tablets and smartphones and things to visit your website. So I think obviously that's a given at this point. So I wish I had more to tell you, but I think the future will tell.
Sure, certainly it's just hard to imagine a world without Facebook, for example. And I just can't imagine it going away. I mean, it's just so big and it's such a big part of so many lives. But then again, people probably said the same thing with MySpace. Certainly Rupert Murdoch did.
Yes. I think Facebook is so huge right now that they're going to have like a mass by doing something to really upset a lot of people. And even that, they've had obviously lots of privacy issues come up and things. And, numbers are starting to indicate that younger people are sort of going away from Facebook because all their parents are there. I spoke to somebody recently who's sort of a Luddite and she was talking to me, and she's I would say in her maybe mid 60s, late 60s. And she was talking to me about something she saw online. And she said, I saw something on the internet the other day, which really was hilarious. And then she said, oh, sorry, not the internet, Facebook. And when she said
that's a funny reaction. Yeah.
Yeah. And she said that to me, like, Facebook is not the internet. Facebook. And with the like button being added, all across the web, and Facebook Connect being used all across the web, it is very interesting now that so many people, and I'm sure she's not alone in this, that think of Facebook as the internet. Some people live on Facebook. They don't go to other websites. And I think, with obviously they click links and things, but their primary place is Facebook. Even my own wife's primary place is Facebook, aside from her email. And I think that's pretty telling. So yeah, the future, we'll have to see what happens with Facebook. Who knows?
Yeah, what an amazing thing. I mean, they've done something that MySpace never did, though. The login with Facebook concept. People are just using that as their password system all around the internet. What a brilliant strategy, really.
Very smart.
It really is. Well, Dave, give out your website if you would. And of course, the book is available on Amazon and all the usual places, I assume.
Yeah, it is. It's available at Barnes & Noble as well if you're in the States, or Indigo chapters in Canada. You can visit NBN, New Business Networking, nbnbook.com for more information about the book. And you can also, I blog at that website too, so you can find my blog there as well. And yeah, I encourage people to check it out, but also please, and I mentioned it several times in the book, reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your feedback, read your reviews on Amazon, and find out, if the stuff in the book is helpful to you, and if you have questions. I also have a private LinkedIn group that you can find from that site as well, for anyone interested in networking and networking tips and tools and techniques. We have a private LinkedIn group for anybody can join. It's just a private one. So come one, come all.
Good stuff. Well, Dave Delaney, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks. It's been a pleasure.
Now you can get Jason's Creating Wealth in Today's Economy home study course. All the knowledge and education revealed in a 9-hour day of the Creating Wealth Bootcamp, created in a home study course for you to dive into at your convenience. For more details, go to jasonhartman.com. This show is produced by the Hartman Media Company, all rights reserved. For distribution or publication rights and media interviews, please visit www.hartmanmedia.com or email media@hartmanmedia.com. Nothing on this show should be considered specific personal or professional advice. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, or business professional for individualized advice. Opinions of guests are their own, and the host is acting on behalf of Platinum Properties Investor Network, Inc. exclusively.